In 1965, when Jean-Luc Godard made ALPHAVILLE, he was at the very height of his powers, and the film indeed was to win the best film prize at Berlin in that year. He'd been turning out films at 2 or 3 a year for 5 years, each one of them groundbreaking, each one of them immediately acclaimed worldwide. ALPHAVILLE is most easily described as a science fiction film. And indeed, in so doing, one notices that Godard takes on one of the few genres that he hasn't captured so far. But it's not just a science fiction film. One of its centres is the figure of Eddie Constantine, playing Lemmy Caution. Eddie Constantine was an American actor who had come to France and had made a good career in B films, in thrillers. He was kind of notorious as not a very good actor, but the Cahiers critics often liked that kind of actor, and Godard had already used him to great effect in a sketch he'd made for a film called The Seven Deadly Sins, in which Constantine had played Sloth, a man so lazy that he couldn't be bothered to get undressed to make love to a woman who he'd seduced and taken back to his apartment. 3 years later, Godard uses him in ALPHAVILLE, and ALPHAVILLE, while science fiction, is also therefore a thriller, because Constantine is a hero from a thriller, and indeed the plot, the mission on which Lemmy Caution is engaged, is much more like a thriller than like a science fiction. But then also, Godard himself talks about Constantine as the hero of a Western. And in some sense, the film can be seen as a mélange of all the popular genres, put together with Paul Éluard, one of the great modernist poets, whose volume, The Capital of Pain, punctuates the film. And The Capital of Pain is, of course, ALPHAVILLE, the city of the future, but it is also Paris, the city of present. And one can mark in some way the distance that Godard has come from Breathless, when Belmondo could marvel at the beauties of the Concorde, that Paris is now used as the setting of a loveless, ruthless, horrible city. And not just as a setting, for it is Paris that is on camera. Godard did not build any sets. He did not construct any futures. He simply went and photographed the most modern bits of Paris, some of the new modern buildings at the centre, but also the modern suburbs where he could film a future that was already happening. And this, it is important to remember, is part and parcel of Godard's realistic aesthetic. The notion of building a future is completely alien to him. You capture a future in the present. And capturing the future in the present behind these films, one can almost think of this as one of the spy films so dominant at the time. Not a James Bond film, but a Len Deighton film. A world in which grubby men struggle for ideals they don't really understand, in a world which is constantly playing unpleasant tricks on them. And this is Godard's contribution to that genre. But above all, it is Anna Karina. Karina has been the love of Godard's life throughout the films that he's made, and their relationship has always been violently tempestuous, violently breaking apart and coming together again. The exact moment at which it ends is difficult to establish, but it's interesting to say that the makeup artist on ALPHAVILLE says that this was the last film in which they were still a loving couple. And perhaps that's what lends the incredible force to Anna's final words. The I love you, as Mizrachi comes up on the soundtrack. And what's extraordinary about Godard's genius here is that this most sentimental and cliched of endings is made to work. You feel the force of a woman saying for the first time in her life, "I love you," in words that she has only just for the first time understood. But if it is Godard's genius, it is also Karina's. He talked of her as a Nordic actress, one who knew how to act with her whole body, not psychologically, and this may be her most brilliant performance.